The average deposit amount needed to buy a house in the UK is over £38,000. In London, it's almost twice as much, where home buying feels so impossible. In this video, I'm going to take you through several strategies that I used to buy my first flat and that you can use to help save for your first home. And I'm going to put some real numbers behind everything, so you can actually see where making some simple but effective choices can take years off the time it will take you to save up for your whole deposit. If you like videos like these, give us some love below and subscribe to the channel. And while you're here, why not check out the links in the description below for some free cash offers, bank switch deals, and where you can get up to £100 in free stocks and shares. Lovely. FindTheBestFinder.com. The first step is to give yourself a target and work out how much you actually need to save for. Sounds obvious, but there's a little bit of nuance to it. Deposit amounts can vary from between 5% to 20% of the value of your property. And your deposit amount will depend on a number of things like where you live in the UK, the size of the property, how good your credit score is. A less than good credit score may require a higher deposit amount to seal the mortgage deal. And if you're going to use a mortgage scheme like shared ownership or the first home scheme. Let's add some actual numbers in. So we did some research and the average price of a 2-bedroom flat in the UK is £276,000, making a 15% deposit £41,400. Now you have the total deposit amount, you need to work out what you can afford to save towards it each month. Now be realistic here, because you still need to live, pay rent, buy groceries while you're still saving up. Let's say I can afford to put £350 towards that deposit every month. If I times 350 by 12, I get the annual amount I'll be able to save, so £4,200 each year. Then, dividing £41,400 by £4,200 shows me that it'll take me roughly 9 years and 9 months to reach that deposit amount. Okay. Firstly, I just want to say, don't be put off by the amount of years this is going to take. This is going to be a slog. This is probably the most expensive thing you'll ever buy, so it makes sense that it is going to take a while to save for. If you're a couple and can afford to save twice as much each month, you'll basically be halving the time taken. And you might also be able to afford more each month to put away. I especially want you to bear in mind that this is just the amount you can afford to save without doing too much heavy lifting. The rest of this video is going to show you some savings hacks that will shave literally years off your deposit saving journey. If £350 is the baseline amount you can save each month without even trying, this budgeting exercise is about seeing where you can free up some extra cash. First, you want to identify your monthly essentials, so that's things like rent, bills, food, etc. Then write down all your other non-essential costs, things like takeaways, TV streaming subscriptions, nights out, and see if you can drop any of those costs, even just for a year or so. If you're using 3 streaming services, for example, maybe consider hopping between them every few months instead. I was paying £45 a month for my gym subscription, and cancelling for just 1 year would save me £540. And it's not a case of all or nothing. The Nike Training Camp app is free to use and you can get loads of free workouts there. Not to mention the good old Couch to 5K is also free, so you don't need to do a complete sacrifice. Also, forgoing something like an annual holiday for just 1 year would save me about £1,000. So as I say, this isn't about living with nothing. It's just an exercise in identifying non-essential costs that are less important to you than buying a house. For the sake of simplicity, let's assume I've done my budget and have found an extra £1,000 from going abroad and £540 from my gym membership annually that I can add to my deposit savings. Now, I'll do some magic with this extra cash later, so stay tuned. The art of saving isn't solely about finding an account with the highest interest rate. Some savings accounts lock your savings away for a set amount of time, and you may be penalised or get a lower interest rate for withdrawing your money. And there's loads of unexpected costs when saving up for your first home, and you never know when you might need some of your cash. So for me, I found using a bunch of different interest earning accounts very useful. Regular savers are great for a high interest rate. First Direct, for example, is offering 7% on savings up to £3,600 fixed for 12 months. You will need a current account with the provider to get a regular saver and paying a set amount each month to get the interest rate. Typically, regular savers also mature after a year and go down to a lower interest rate, so you'll need to hop around if you want to take advantage of those rates year on year. A lifetime ISA is also a great product. These savings accounts are specifically designed for saving either for your first home or your retirement. You can pay in up to £4,000 each tax year, and then the government will top up your account by 25%. So if you put in the maximum amount each tax year, you will get an extra £1,000 for free. Plus, your LISA provider typically offers a little interest rate on top. With a LISA, you will be penalised for withdrawing money for any other reason than buying your first home or your retirement. So these are not ad hoc house expenses savings. Consider them locked away until you're ready to pull the trigger on your house. LISAs also have restrictions on the price of the property you can buy, so you'll need to make sure your property is less than £450,000 to be able to put your LISA savings towards it. For those ad hoc payments, an instant or easy access saver could be a great shout. Rates aren't astounding at the moment, but you might as well be earning a little extra interest while having easy access to your savings. There are obviously loads of different savings accounts, fixed term, notice accounts, cash ISAs, etc. But these ones were the main accounts I used to help save for my deposit. Let's see what that looks like in real terms. So at the top here, you can see all of the initial maths, so the 15% deposit amount and how many years that'll take to save. Next, I've broken out the savings from my budget cuts and distributed my £350 between all of those interest earning accounts I found. I've based these interest rates on what was available at the time. And remember, you only get that regular saver for 1 year, so you'd need to hop accounts to keep getting a high rate. So here you can see the amount saved monthly. And here you can see the amount saved annually, as well as the interest you would earn and the total amount of savings, including that LISA bonus here. I totaled the amount of savings deposits here and the amount of interest and bonuses earned, which takes your savings total from £5,740 to just over £6,300, which would then reduce that 9-year, 9-month deposit journey down to just 6 years and 6 months. Much more palatable. Now, that little extra magic I promised with the budget cut savings. So I would consciously take any extra funds I've saved and redistribute them into these savings accounts. Let's say I chuck that extra £1,000 in my LISA, £400 in my regular saver, and £140 in my instant access. By doing this, you could boost your annual interest and bonuses to just under £900, reducing the time it would take to save for your deposit by 3 months. As a disclaimer, all of this is assuming that these interest rates remain the same and continue year on year. So it's just an estimation and in no way a guarantee of any savings rates or interest or anything like that. And you may also be liable to pay tax on some of your savings if you earn interest over your personal savings allowance. ISAs do help to negate this, as any interest you earn in an ISA is tax-free. And you could play around with where you would redistribute your savings. For example, because you get that hefty bonus with your LISA account, you might consider prioritising hitting that £4,000 annual limit. Each year, you'll still be limited by what you can put into your regular saver each month. So you could also use the leftover balance from that to top up your LISA to max out that bonus. Every year you do this, you'll have a higher starting savings balance that can be ticking away earning interest. And you can even start earning interest on that interest, which is called compound interest. So savings become like a snowball year on year, hopefully knocking more and more time off your house buying journey. Okay, I have just one last hack, and it's not exactly a direct deposit savings tip, but it all helps in the long run with your mortgage and your budgeting and your saving. So it's both very easy and very understandable to get fixated on saving for your deposit, but you also want to make sure that your credit score is in a good place for when you want to pull the trigger on your mortgage. A good credit score could potentially help you secure a lower minimum deposit amount on your property, as well as potentially a lower mortgage rate. Imagine paying even like 0.1% less on your mortgage payments every month. It all adds up over the long term, and if you can secure a lower deposit amount, well, you can save even quicker for your dream home. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you want more information, some cash deals, bank switch deals, free shares, all that lovely stuff, click the links in the description below, here, or in the comments. Give the channel some love and subscribe below, and I'll see you next time. Happy savings.